Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Kayfabe Central podcast and another episode of the Paper Review, where I am going over NXT Halloween Havoc or WWE NXT Halloween Havoc. We are being featured by my dog today. He decided to be in the room for this one. But yeah, we are going to go over WWE NXT Halloween Havoc 2025 that just went down. This is probably going to come out like later in the night, probably a couple hours after Halloween Havoc finished. So yeah, I appreciate everyone in advance for their support and checking out the post-show review for NXT Halloween Havoc. Um, a very interesting show with a lot of interesting aspects to it. Um, there were some things that were pretty shocking to me, some things that I just didn't like at all, and some things that were pretty good. And I'm going to be breaking down all of that on this post-show review. We had a total of 6 matches that I'm going to break down. Before we get into that, though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Subscribe to the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. Check out the Kayfabe Central website. That's where I post all my coverage posts, articles, written predictions, all that good stuff is there. I also have a group/community section over there as well where you can ask me your wrestling related questions, whether it be a personal opinion of mine or anything along those lines that are wrestling related. You can ask me on the Kayfabe Central website. So go ahead and check that out. That's always in the description below. Yeah, I'm going to jump straight into this post show review and get through this because while there were some interesting things, I don't think that this is going to be a very long post show review because there were just some things that's like, okay, it just happened and that was that. Um, the pre-show was once again 1 hour of nothing, just talking. Um, as usual with the pre-shows, at least it was just an hour and not like 2 hours of nothing. I guess I prefer 1 hour of nothing over 2 hours of nothing. Um, so yeah, if you missed the pre-show, you didn't miss anything. They just played some promo packages for the matches tonight, as usual. Um, we kicked off the night with Javon Evans and Leon Slater beating Mr. Iguana and La Parka. Fun match in the grand scheme of things, like I mentioned in the predictions. This doesn't really mean a whole lot, unless they do plan on having Javon Evans and Leon Slater go after the tag team championships, which we are going to be talking about later in this post show review, because that was also on the line on this pay-per-view, or PLE, whatever we're calling it. I always call these pay-per-views like this series is called the pay-per-review, just because it was, cool little name for it. And I wasn't gonna call it like premium live review or whatever, because everywhere else is pay-per-view. So you know what? It is what it is. But yeah, this was a fun match. There were some fun spots. A lot of this match, though, I feel like they there was a lot of miscues in this match. And I don't know what happened there. Like there was a spot where um Mr. Iguana and Javon Evans both went for a springboard, and I think the plan was for Javon Evans to catch Mr. Iguana midair off the springboard and hit him with a cutter, but that did not end up happening. They both completely missed each other. This happened in a similar spot happened. I think it was just a few months ago with Cody Rhodes and Carmelo Hayes when they went one-on-one and they tried to do a similar thing and they just completely missed each other. So, it's a very hard spot to do. And like, I don't know. I feel like if I don't know, man. Like it's a very hard spot to do, and I think a lot of people would just be better off not doing it unless you're for sure you can do it. Um, Rue, who I do the podcast with, was also my live chat. You guys know Rue very well. Um, he was saying that it could have been a language barrier between the two teams, which is a very good possibility. When they were trying to communicate the spot, could have been a little bit of a barrier there with some of the things that they messed up on. But either way, it was still a fun match. Still ended up being fun, cool match. Javon and Leon get the win. Um, and yeah, that was that. We went on to the Day of the Dead match. for the NXT North American Championship between Ethan Page and El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. That's much better to say than it is to type out. Um, but this was weird. I called this the a Sin Cara match in my live because of the lighting that we had. It was like this blue and like purple light that was hovering over the ring, and that's how it was for the entire match. I didn't really like it. I never like when they do things like that. Like with the Mountain Dew Lights Out match or whatever it was called, or Mountain Dew Pitch Black, whatever the match was called between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight that year. I never liked when they did things like that. Uh, Something interesting did happen throughout this match, though, where Ethan Page ripped off the mask of El Hijo, and only the bottom part of the mask was left, which I found very interesting because, like in Lucha Libre, the mask is the most important thing, and that's more important than a title. But they had him, wrestle with half of a mask throughout this match, which I found interesting. I'm not sure if like WWE is planning on signing Dr. Wagner Jr. and they're gonna do what they did with Santos Escobar and have him wrestle without the mask and tell him just be yourself, and we'll see where it takes us kind of thing. I could see that being the case, and that's why they went this route. Um, he did look pretty cool though with half the mask. I think that was a pretty cool look for him, especially in a match of like called the Day of the Dead. But there was nothing special about this match. It was just a no disqualification match with a fancy name on it, as expected, or like at least as I expected. I was hoping they did something gimmicky here, but that was not the case. They just had a regular no disqualification match and with regular weapons, and like by regular weapons, I don't mean like um regular weapons, but like with some gimmick onto it. No, just like trash cans, steel chairs, candlesticks, that sort of stuff. Nothing very special there. Um, and yeah, the match itself was fine. Um, they, despite like it just being a no disqualification match with a fancy name, they put on a pretty good show. They did some pretty cool things. Um, and yeah, Ethan Page retained, which I expected. I didn't think that they were going to give the North American title to Dr. Wagner Jr. Yeah, it leaves a big question as to who's going to take that title off of Ethan Page, though. So that's something we got to keep watching on for and keep a lookout for because a lot of people feel, and myself as well, that when Ethan Page loses that North American Championship, he should go up to the main roster, which I 100% agree with. We went on then to we also at around some time here we had a backstage segment with Kalani Jordan and Jordan Grace that set up this Tuesday on NXT a TNA Knockouts Championship match between Jordan Grace and Kalani Jordan. The backstage segment was stupid. I didn't really enjoy it. But they had like costumes on. They were like dressed up Halloween-y, so that was pretty cool. But the segment itself just I didn't do anything for me. Um, a lot of the backstage segments that they had on this show just didn't do anything for me either. Um, then yeah, man, I don't understand like the commercials and all that stuff during a PLE. They actually had less commercials though on this one than they usually do for their PLEs, especially the main roster one. So that I enjoyed. I appreciated that. We moved on then to the NXT Women's North American Championship match between Blake Monroe and Zaria. Blake Monroe defeated Zaria to win the NXT Women's North American Championship. Um, Obviously, Zaria was defending the title in Sol Ruka's honor, and Zaria was like, you know what, I will retain the title for you. I will defend it in your honor. She did not. Blake Monroe won the title, and I believe even more now that Sol Ruka is not actually hurt. Because if she was actually hurt, she wouldn't have been allowed ringside. She would not have been allowed to be involved physically. And I think this was, um, the actual like reveal that Sol Ruka is not hurt without them actually saying it. I don't know why they didn't do anything here at Halloween Havoc. I think this would have been the perfect spot if you're gonna do something. Um, I'm really sensing that Sol Ruka is going to be the one to turn heel instead of Zaria, and that's the route that we're going. Sol Ruka looked pretty devastated at the end when Blake Monroe was celebrating, and they were just like her and Zaria were just sitting on the floor. And why would she be? Like her title just got lost, and it wasn't even her fault. And realistically, that should be Sol Ruka being pissed and turning on Zaria. Um, I always saw it the other way around that Zaria would be the one to turn on Sol Ruka, but um, the way I'm seeing it, I think that we may be getting a Sol Ruka heel turn, which is going to be very interesting. But speaking of interesting, the NXT Women's Championship changed hands because Tatum Paxley defeated Jayne to win the NXT Women's title. Now, I was hoping for this. I wanted this to happen. But I picked Jayne to win this because I honestly didn't think that Tatum Paxley was going to win. I thought that this was just going to be Tatum Pax is going to be a big underdog. She's going to almost pick up the win, but either Izzy Dame costs her or Fatal Influence costs her. But everyone got sent to the back. Fatal Influence got sent to the back. The Cullen got sent to the back. But towards the end of the match, of course, they still tried to get involved. Referees came out. Izzy Dame then came out from behind and had the NXT Women's title in hand. It looked like she was going to hit Tatum Paxley, but Paxley ducked out of the way. But then Jayne hit her with the rolling encore. And then Tatum Paxley grabbed her. I don't know what Tatum Paxley's finisher is called. Someone's got to let me know in the comments. It's very weird, but it's a very innovative finisher where she just grabs him from behind and then just twists. It takes a little bit to like set up, but once she actually pulls off the move, it looks really cool. And yeah, then Tatum Paxley won the NXT Women's Championship, which was, yeah, once again, very interesting. I'm surprised that they went that route, but I'm happy for Tatum Paxley. She seems like a good person and someone who's gone through a lot with a lot of her friends being released, and she deserves this. She deserves this. I popped on the TikTok live when this happened. So yeah, pretty decent match as well. There wasn't necessarily like a bad match on this card. There were just some like bad components to certain matches. Um, like the one that followed the NXT Women's Championship match, that being the Broken Rules match for the NXT Tag Team Championships between DarkState and the Hardys, where DarkState beat the Hardy Boys to win back the NXT Tag Team Championships. You guys, if you've listened to this podcast long enough, know how I feel about Dark State, and I don't understand what the point in was having the NXT tag team titles and the TNA tag titles on the line at Bound for Glory if you're just gonna give it back to Dark State. Um, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why they went this route. Um, yeah, it's just stupid, honestly. The match itself was fine. We had some cool looking tables. Obviously, the Slim Jim logo was still slapped onto there, but we have like some Jeff Hardy designed tables. We had a lot of table spots in this match. As expected, it's the Hardy Boys. But yeah, DarkState is the NXT Tag Team Champions again, and I don't like it. I've said this before, they're just retribution all over again. And I don't have any hope for DarkState, even with them winning back the tag team titles. I've been calling them Dork State for a reason. It's just not good stuff. It's not, I don't see this faction going anywhere. Um, we then went on to the main event, which was the NXT Championship match. Ricky Saints defeated Trick Williams to retain. This was just a match. There was nothing special about this match. They put on a pretty solid outing, and Ricky Saints retained, and that was about it. Um, yeah, I can see Trick Williams going up to the main roster. I think that's where he should go. He's done everything he can in NXT. So I think it's about time you call him up to the main roster. I can see people like Jacy, Jayne, and maybe even the rest of Fatal Influence moving up to the main roster as well. There's obviously been talks about Obafemi potentially going to the main roster also. So hopefully we do get some call up soon. I also mentioned Lola Vice going up to the main roster and helping out Damian Priest. So I don't think that we're gonna get all those call ups at once. Like a couple of those will probably happen, but Trick Williams, I think for sure needs to go up to the main roster. Like I said, he's done everything he can in NXT. But that was WWE NXT Halloween Havoc 2025. Um, yeah, a very interesting show, but a lot of things that like I just didn't really care for, like DarkState winning the tag team titles back. I don't really care for. We had a backstage segment with Javon Evans and Leon Slater after DarkState won the tag titles, kind of hinting at that they are going to go after DarkState at some point in time. Um, so I can see them being the ones to take it off DarkState. I don't really see anyone else like suited to take those titles off them. Um, yeah, it's a weird one. Um, After the Ricky Saints and Trick Williams match, though, we had a backstage segment where Tatum Paxley and the Culling were interviewed about Tatum Paxley's NXT Women's title win, and Tatum was like, I'm happy to be NXT Women's Champion, da 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 da, your typical babyface thing, and then the show ended. I was like, okay, what was the point in that? Why couldn't you just do that earlier in the night and end it with Ricky Saints celebrating? Um, yeah, I don't understand why they did that. Why? I don't understand why NXT does a lot of the things that they do. Um, and I don't even think they understand why they do some of the things that they do. But that's NXT for you. Um, and that is NXT Halloween Havoc 2025. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, let me know your thoughts on Halloween Havoc. Did you enjoy the show? Did you hate it? Did you find it okay? Let me know. I always love hearing you guys' opinions. You guys are just as big of a part of the show as I am, as Ruar and Stu is. So yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. The next time you'll hear from me is probably the Monday Night Raw post show review. But like the next major thing we're doing is obviously the Saturday night's main event predictions. So that'll be coming sometime in the next week because that is happening next Saturday. But yeah, until then, we're gonna have NXT coming this Tuesday. We have some things announced for that, like the Speed Tournament Finals, the TNA Knockouts Championship match, Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights going one-on-one. So yeah, some things to look forward to in other divisions on NXT. But that is going to do it for me. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, and comment, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews. Subscribe to the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. Check out the Kayfabe Central TikTok where I do all my weekly show previews and TikTok live watch-alongs, all that good stuff. Check all that out. It's all in the description below. And until the next time I see you guys, take it easy.